Hi, my name is Kathy Puskar with the law firm of Walsh Colucci, and I'm happy to be here to discuss this unique joint venture between Wesley Housing and Melwood in Arlington County. Since 1963, Melwood has been advocating for and empowering people with disabilities by expanding opportunities in the community. At the Arlington location, they provide day habilitation services and pre-employment training. The building is also the professional home of their employment support services, which helps people with disabilities succeed in their respective workplaces. Today, Melwood is working to launch careers of choice in fields such as tech, administrative services, and skilled trades. As their program graduates launch their careers, they then face their next challenge, finding an affordable place to live on their own. The proposed project aims to address this need by providing affordable housing at a site where programs and services can be co-located. And they found the perfect partner in Wesley Housing. Wesley Housing serves the greater Washington, D.C.'s most vulnerable individuals and families by creating and operating healthy, inclusive, stable, affordable housing communities with supportive services that build people up and help them thrive. Founded in 1974, Wesley Housing is celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. In that time, they have developed 35 communities in Northern Virginia and DC, including multiple developments in Arlington County, such as the Cadence, with in-house property management. This joint venture with Melwood will create a unique environment co-locating inclusive, affordable housing with Melwood's programming for individuals with disabilities, thereby fulfilling Principle 5 of the Special GLUP study adopted by the County Board in May of 2024 to prioritize affordable, accessible, equitable housing with redevelopment. Melwood is fortunate to be able to achieve its desire for this co-located project on property it already owns by virtue of a land swap between the county and the former property owner in 1981 following the closure of Nellie Custis School. The property is located at the intersection of 23rd Street South and South Grant Street near existing commercial and religious institutional buildings, as well as adjacent to the Nellie Custis Park. The terms of the 1981 land swap agreement permit Melwood to use Parcel B for purposes of determining density, setbacks, and other zoning requirements associated with redevelopment, but also included the provision of a park and open space easement on that parcel in perpetuity. Parcel B will remain an open space public park with this proposal. The applicant is requesting a GLUP amendment for Parcel A from public to low medium and a rezoning of the property to RA 818 with a use permit for Melwood's community service use. In terms of the historic background of the site, the original school building was constructed in 1923, and 3 additions have been built in 1931, 1962, and 1995, as you see on the exhibit, that altered the historic integrity of the original school building. Only the 1923 and 1931 portions of the building are historic. As such, there are only 2 contributing elevations, both of which are lacking in physical integrity. Note the building as it existed in 1931 at the top of the slide, compared to the existing building photos below. The facade no longer reads as the facade as the entire entrance was removed, including the cast stone surround, metal and glass canopy, landing, main doors, and transom light. The entrance to the building is now located to the west. The historic signage associated with Nellie Custis School was also removed long ago, further eroding its association with the Arlington County Public School System. Both of the historic elevations have lost their historic windows, and the window openings themselves have been altered in size. The only remaining historic fabric on the exterior is stone water table and belt course, some brick, and the tiered central parapet. In addition, the historic landscape has been significantly altered as the central entrance path was removed and the original tree in the photo on the top left no longer exists. Given the lack of physical integrity of the historic school building and the existence of other buildings in the county that represent similar history and architecture, as well as the need to provide below-grade parking as set forth in the GLUP principles, the applicant proposes to demolish the existing building in its entirety. However, the historic aspects of the building serve as inspiration for elements of the design in the new building, as our architect will describe, and signage will be installed to further explain the history of Nellie Custis School and its importance in the desegregation of schools in Arlington County. Principle 2 states that to provide for attractive and welcoming pedestrian level conditions through landscaping, other biophilic design, and underground parking. And Principle 3 seeks to enhance access, connectivity, and safety for all modes of travel in and around the site. You can see here how we have achieved a safe, attractive, and connected pedestrian level condition. The proposed design includes a main pedestrian entrance on 23rd Street, upgraded sidewalks, a drop-off zone and additional on-street parking spaces along 23rd Street, the retention of and addition of street trees and other landscaping around the site, and also provides generous building setbacks that will allow for a better pedestrian experience. These building setbacks include 30 feet 8 inches from 23rd Street, 23 feet from South Grant Street, 39 feet 8 inches from the closest point of the building to Nellie Custis Park, and 49 feet 6 inches from the building to the park on the east side. The new building will include approximately 18,000 square feet for Melwood, shown in blue on the ground floor. The remainder of the building will contain 105 committed affordable units, shown in orange, with associated amenities, shown in pink. A number of the units will be reserved for persons with intellectual or developmental disabilities. In furtherance of Principle 2, we have also provided below-grade parking. Access to the parking is on 23rd Street, directing vehicular traffic to the higher volume street and allowing for a better pedestrian experience along South Grant Street. Loading occurs off of South Grant Street and will occur internal to the building. This loading dock will be used primarily for the infrequent resident move-in and move-outs, as well as trash pickup, as Melwood will receive most of its deliveries via UPS or FedEx from the drop-off zone on 23rd Street. As to the parking, 20 spaces, or 1 per 3 program participants and staff, will be provided for Melwood, and 75 spaces, or 0.71 spaces per unit, will be provided for residents. Residents will have access to the 20 Melwood spaces outside of operating hours. The proposed parking is adequate to support both Melwood staff and program participants, as well as the residents of the new building, based upon Melwood's experience at this site in close proximity to transit, and Wesley's experience with other affordable housing projects in Arlington and the surrounding region. Principle 1 tasks us with ensuring building scale, massing, and materials complement the surrounding area, including the adjacent Nellie Custis Park. Our architect will speak to this principle in a bit, but as you can see here, we have designed the massing of the building to place the most importance on the relationship of the building to the adjacent Nellie Custis Park. As mentioned before, the building has a very generous setback from the park to mitigate any perceived impact on the park. However, this setback is not at the expense of meeting this principle on the other frontages of the building as well, as we have generous setbacks along 23rd Street and South Grant Street. These setbacks are more generous than would be found in the typical multifamily project and reduce the need for significant stepbacks in these locations. However, stepbacks are included at the second level around the building as anticipated, with 24 feet 5 inches along 23rd Street to offset the main building mass from where we are providing design inspiration from the historic school facade, 8 feet farther to the east of that point, 8 feet at the corner of South Grant Street and the park, and 25 feet at the south elevation near the park. A courtyard for both the residents and Melwood program participants is located on the second floor and provides further relief from the park. As you can see, the building continues to taper on the fourth floor with the addition of 8-foot stepbacks along South Grant Street and on the southeastern portion of the building near the loading entrance, as well as a 12-foot stepback on the southern wing near the park. And finally, here's a roof plan showing that the mechanical equipment is located towards the center of the building and will be screened. Principle 4 envisions sustainability through compact building design that conserves on-site open space and trees, and stormwater mitigation measures that contribute to improving stormwater conveyance systems adjacent to and downstream of the site. Our design team has used a biophilic approach to the interior and exterior building design to increase residents' connectivity to green elements. They have incorporated bioretention planters and green roofs and designed the project so to capture and detain roof drainage prior to release into the public storm system. And while we are unable to save the existing trees and open space at the corner of 23rd and Grant Street in order to maximize below-grade parking, the design team has incorporated new landscaping throughout the site, and the design of the building with generous setbacks has decreased impervious area while increasing open space on the site. The designers have also prioritized sustainability and accessibility, which have been the key design drivers as Melwood and Wesley seek to create an inclusive environment where everyone can thrive. The proposed building will achieve the National Green Building Standard Silver Level certification and is also designed to achieve Kelsey Inclusive Design Standard certification. These standards aim to provide a disability-forward and inclusive design that addresses the broad and diverse needs of people with disabilities. Zooming in, you can see the details of the landscape courtyard that has been added to the second level at the southwest corner of the building to further reduce the mass of the building adjacent to the park and to provide an amenity area specifically designed for the intended residents and Melwood participants. You can also see the various plantings in the generous buffer between the park and the building, including a mixture of evergreen and deciduous trees. Finally, we intend to retain the existing 6-foot fence along Nellie Custis Park to remain in order to maintain a clear separation of park and private property and further shield the park from the new building. At this point, I'd like to hand it over to Doug Carter with Davis Carter Scott to walk you through the proposed building design.
Hello, I'm Doug Carter, Davis Carter Scott, and we're the architects for this really interesting project. And so what I would like to do briefly is walk you around the building and look at the elevations. The elevations obviously are flat, and so we will be showing you perspective in a moment. But I'd like to, if I can, have you refer to the diagram in the bottom left-hand corner, where the orange arrow is pointing to the elevations. And so this is the elevation of 23rd Street. And around the entire building, we've really worked hard to try and break down the mass of the building so that we can have it contextual with the neighborhood. And so Kathy spoke a moment about the setbacks. And so what we need to address here is the materiality of the building. And so to keep it in context with its neighborhood, we are using a lot of masonry. That's on the lower 4 floors. And then the 5th floor here on 23rd Street, we're changing the material and we're using that really as a visual device to reduce the overall apparent height of the building. And so we're trying to, once again, to put it into its context with the neighborhood. As we're looking at this, there is a darker portion in the center where we are set back from 23rd Street, where we are focusing heavily on trying to take inspiration from the existing Nellie Custis School and using its flavor, its architecture as inspiration for that particular piece. And we're celebrating the fact that there was a school here and we want that remembrance to be current on 23rd Street. So now moving around the building, we're looking now, as the diagram in the bottom left shows, we're looking at the west elevation, and you can see how we've actually organized the massing of the building. So only a very small portion of the building is addressing the west, the south, and the east frontages. And so here you're looking again at the similarity of material as we turn the corner, but then we're starting, as we get around to the south elevation, looking at introducing more of the different materials and really breaking the scale down. So on the south side that we're looking at right now, we've only got the end of the south wing getting close to the Nellie Custis Park. But then towards the east, we've really broken the scale of the building down and we've created almost a townhouse appearance there so that once again, it can fit nicely into its neighborhood. And you can see from the articulation here that we've got the step backs and the setbacks from the street. So that's done in response to both the GLUP plans and to the comments that we received from the community as we've made community presentations. And lastly then to South Grand Street. And here again on South Grand Street, only that one portion of the building is coming towards South Grand Street. And here I think you can see particularly the way that we've broken down the scale to look almost like townhouses. And we have used the masonry and the cementitious material to actually emphasize that feeling so that it really does belong in its neighborhood. But I think those two-dimensional elevations are not nearly as powerful as three-dimensional perspectives. And so here we've got a series of perspectives looking around the building. And I think this starts to give you an idea on 23rd Street, looking at the main elevation, and you see that main recess where we, in the darker portion in the center, that's the existing flagpole that we're reusing. And then behind it, we have really echoed the Nellie Custis School. And you can see on the left and on the right that we've taken the inspiration from the detailing of the Nellie Custis School and we've used it. And so you're looking at corbelled brickwork and you're looking at the corbelled limestone bands that exist on the current building. And then on the upper levels, to break the scale down again, corbelled brickwork. And so the materiality of the neighborhood we've carried into the building itself. So that's looking at it from the east on 23rd Street. Now looking at it a little bit further to the west, you can see that we really have broken down the mass. And so you're looking not at one, but at two buildings almost on 23rd Street. The entrance to our building is towards the right bottom, where you see the person in the white trousers walking past the main entrance there. And so it really does reflect its neighborhood. Moving around the building, we go to South Grand Street, and this is the corner of 23rd Street and South Grand Street. You can see both the setbacks and the step backs with the articulation of the building, and you can see the townhouse feeling that we've created with the recess and projection of that those upper floors. Moving around then a little bit further down Grand Street, we're now at the entrance to our loading dock. And so you can see from the articulation of the building that we've really echoed the surrounding neighborhoods here. And we can look at the neighborhood then from the south. And this is looking across Nellie Custis Park. You can see the play area in the foreground, our building in the background, and you can see the relationship between our building and the church. So I think it fits nicely into the neighborhood with the context of the adjacent buildings. Moving along to the west, we see another perspective looking more or less straight across Nellie Custis Park. And so you can see at the base, there is an existing 6-foot tall wooden fence that gives us really clear separation and visual separation between the Custis Park and our building. And we are set back quite a ways from that wooden fence. And then a last one a little bit further to the west. And so now you're looking at our outdoor terrace for the tenants. And you see on top of that terrace, the landscaping that will be there. And so it is adjacent to parcel B that you were looking at earlier. And so what we're trying to do is really bring Mother Nature not only around us, but up onto the building so that it softens the building and makes it even more befitting its neighborhood. And so that shows you briefly a few perspectives around the building. And so thank you for your attention and thank you for your feedback so far. And we look forward to working with you further to evolve this neat project in the future. So thank you.